Good afternoon, students. This is Ram Kumar. So, in previous classes, we discussed about the anatomy of the flowering plants, which means discuss about the tissue level of flowering plants. Now we are going to discuss about the tissue level of organization in animals. Okay, so the tissue level of organization in animals is based on classified based on size, shape, and its function. Based on this category, the tissue level of organization in animals is classified into as epithelial, connective, muscular, and neural. Okay, in epithelial, which is further classified into as simple and compound, whereas the connective tissue is again classified as loose loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and specialized connective tissue. In muscular, we classified muscular tissue as voluntary, involuntary, and cardiac muscles. So, cardiac muscle. So, neural tissues are nothing but which mainly consist of neurons only. So now in epithelial, it is further classified into as simple and compound. So in simple epithelial tissue there are five kinds of cells tissues. There are squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and pseudostratified. So in compound epithelial tissues, it is further classified as stratified and transitional. In stratified, it is further classified as squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. In stratified squamous epithelial tissue, it is further classified as keratinized and non-keratinized. Keratinized means these tissues secretes keratin pigments and non-keratin pigments. That's all. So, epithelial tissue, which mainly occurs in the body surface under our body cavity. So its main functions are protection, absorption, filtration, excretion, secretion, and sensory reception. So simple epithelium, it is as a it is a single layer of the single tissue layer. So its main functions are absorption, secretion, and its filtration. So now we move on to the classification of the simple epithelium. First one is squamous epithelium. So it is a thin, flat layered, which have irregular boundaries in a square shaped. That's why we call it as a squamous. It is found majorly found in kidneys, glomerulus, and sac of lungs. And then cuboidal. Cuboid, it is a single layer with a cube-like cells. That's why we call it as a cuboid epithelium. So it is predominantly found in a kidney and our secretory ducts and a small gland of secretory portion. And third one is a columnar epithelium. It is a single layered column shaped cells which have a oval shaped nuclei at the base. So majorly columnar epithelium are majorly predominantly found in a digestive tract, which means the inside of our smaller intestine. Ciliated epithelium, which if a columnar epithelium which having a small hair-like projection, which is called a ciliated epithelium. So where we can find is a small bronchites and a fallopian tube of a uterus, and a pseudostratified it looks like a columnar epithelium, but unequal in size. So it is a single layer. It is a single layer, but looks like a multi-layered arrangement. So its main function is a protection, secretion, and absorption. So where we can find is a predominantly found in male tract of our urethra. Okay. So in some of the cuboid and columnar epithelium, which are found in the secretory glands, which are collectively known as glandular epithelium. What are those secretory glands are known as nothing but exocrine gland and endocrine gland. Okay. Next one is connective tissue. So connective tissue, which are developed from our mesoderm. Okay, so its main function is binding, support, protection, and transportation. So it is classified into three types, as I previously told us: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and specialized connective tissue. Okay, so in loose connective tissue, it is further classified as three types: as areolar, adipose, and reticular. So areolar, where we found in the beneath of our skin. Its main function is it is to store water and salts. Okay, so adipose tissue is similar to the areolar tissue in structure and its function. So where this adipose tissue is made up of a substance called adipose or fat cells. So these cells are predominantly 90% of its tissue mass. Okay, so reticular tissue. Third one is reticular tissue, which is similarly resembles like an areolar tissue, but the matrix are filled with fibroblast. That's why we called it, these fibroblasts are called as reticular cells. Okay, so next one is dense connective tissue. These dense, why we called it as a dense means because it stands against strength, tensile, and pressure. While we lifting the heavy weight, or while we pushing any some heavy objects, these dense connective tissue are useful. So this dense connective tissue are again classified into as three types: as dense regular, dense irregular, and elastic connective tissue. So dense regular connective tissue, which primarily contain collagen fibers. Okay, collagen fibers and a fibroblast in a parallel bundle of elastic fibers, and also have a few elastic fibers also. So it mainly attach to muscles and bone. Okay, between the muscles and bone to withstand the tensile stress. Okay, why to it attaches between the bones and muscles to withstand its tensile stress. Okay, so dense irregular. Okay, dense irregular, which is also same, looks like a its structure and function same, looks like a dense regular connective tissue, but its fibrous arrangement is irregular in shape. That's why we call it as a dense irregular connective tissue. So it is also able to withstand the tensile from many directions. Okay, able to withstand the tensile from the many direction, provide a structural strength, and also it also contains some of the elastic fibers are also present. Okay, so now elastic connective tissue, which contains a elastic fiber. So it recoils the stretch it uh, recoils the tissue. Okay, after stretching, it recoils the tissue back to the same place. Okay, recoils the tissue back to the same place. So it also maintains the pulsative flow of the blood. Okay, these are all the main functions of the elastic fiber. It is predominantly where we can found elastic fibers are predominantly found in arteries. Elastic fibers are predominantly found in the arteries of our uh, blood veins. Okay, next one is s- specialized connective tissue. So the specialized connective tissue are which is classified into three types: as cartilage, bones, and blood. Okay, the cartilage is a solid and pliable. It is looks like a bone in structure, but a soft and pliable. We can able to bend like anything, but it can't break. It is not rigid like bone, and it is not break easily. That's why we call it as a cartilage. Cartilage is solid and pliable and resist compression. It not like rigid like bones. It resists the compression. So most of the cartilage which are grown in a vertebrate embryo are replaced by bones after getting adult. Okay, so where it is predominantly found in the our tip of our nose. Okay, tip of our nose and outer ear joints. Outer ear joints. Okay, so next, bones. Bones, we already know that it is a hard non-pliable, which is a hard tensile rigid substance, which rich in calcium salts and collagen fibers, which gives strength to the bones. Okay, so blood is a fluid. Blood is the only connected only tissue which is in a fluid form. Blood is the only tissue which is in a fluid form, which contains plasma, RBC, and WBC, uh, and finally platelets. And finally platelets, it main function is a transport medium for cardiovascular system, carrying the nutrients, waste, respiratory gases, etc. throughout our body. Okay, so the third one is muscular tissue. So muscular tissue, which is classified into as three types. Okay, first we discuss about muscular tissue. Okay, muscular tissue, uh, each muscles are made up of a long ciliated fibers, which are arranged in parallel. These muscles are having long ciliated fibers which are arranged in parallel. Okay, these muscle fibers are consist of fibrils called with fibrils, which is also called as myofibrils. Okay, myofibrils. So muscular tissue are classified into as uh, voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles, and cardiac muscles. Okay, so voluntary muscles, which is also called as a skeletal muscles. Skeletal mu- muscle tissue. It is closely attached to our the name itself told, which is closely attached to our skeletal bones. Okay, so it is a kind of a typical muscle where we can predominantly found in a biceps, our biceps. Okay, uh, biceps, and also it looks its arrangement is a striped shape, which is a straighted shape, and also bundled together in a parallel fashion. That's why in here, I said it is arranged in parallel. Okay, so arranged in a parallel fashion. So yes, these are all voluntary muscles. Okay, so and also voluntary muscles can be controlled by merely thinking. Okay, it can be controlled. It can be controlled by mere thinking. Okay, involuntary muscles, are called as smooth muscles. Smooth or soft muscles. Okay, where the fibers tapers about to both ends. Fibers tapers at the both ends, which is a fusiform, and also it is a not straighted. Okay, it is not straighted, non-straighted, which is it is not arranged in a parallel, and smooth muscles are in involuntary muscles. Its functions are not directly controlled by brain. What I may mean mere thinking here is which is it is controlled by brain. Its functions, whereas in involuntary, its functions are not controlled by brain. So, for example, many of our fa- fa- many of our organ systems which contain involuntary muscles, like our stomach, our lungs, and our intestine, which are all contains these involuntary muscles. It is not controlled by brain. If a brain orders, we can able to stop our moving hand, means we can able to stop. That's why it involuntary muscles, it can be controlled by mere thinking. But in involuntary muscles, these are all the basic functions where we can where we can able to stop these functions, unless or until when we when our head hits at the medulla oblongata, the whole body of the functions get stopped. Okay, so next, the third one is cardiac muscles. So cardiac muscle tissue are which is the name itself a cardiac, which is present itself heart only in heart. So the cell junctions fuse the plasma membrane of the cardiac muscle, uh, and makes it fuse together. Okay, so the plasma membranes of the cardiac muscles and make them to fuse together. So that's why it is found only in the heart itself. Okay, so common communication junctions intercalated at some fusion points, or allow the cells to contract at a unit. Okay, contract at a unit when a one cells when a one cell receive the signal, the others neighbor cells are also simulated to contract. That's why the heart uh, that's why when the heart receives a that loved up function. Okay, then only the heart function. Okay, when one cell, okay, when a one cell receive a signal, the other neighbor cells also receive the same signal, and then only it contracts. Otherwise it could be a major problem. Okay, so these are all the cardiac about cardiac muscles. The fourth one is neural tissue. Okay, nervous tissue exerts the greatest control over the body. So the neural tissue, the name itself says these neural tissue are found are present in neurons itself only. So nervous tissue, it is the greatest control over our body responsiveness. Okay, so these are the nervous neural tissues which are present in the neurons. So these neurons carries the signal, and it controls our body. Okay, greatest control over our body. The neuron is a neural system of the all excitable cells. Okay, so neuroglia. Neuroglia. So neuroglia, where we can found between the neurons, between the joining of the neurons. So these are the neuroglia tissues. So which makes up the more than one half of the volume of the neural tissue in our body. So these neuroglia are present, which is more than a one half, more than one half of our uh, one half of our neural tissues, which is found in our body. So that's our all about our uh, tissue organization in animals. If you have any doubt regarding about this topic, or I need a brief explanation about the topic, please contact me. Go through via urbanpro.com. Thank you.